Alright, so our champion, Mil Mascaras, is visiting Northern Continental Wrestling Alliance and taking on Gorgeous George for the Legends Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Championship. So I am going to be streaming that match. It will be Mil Mascaras, the champion, versus Gorgeous George, the challenger. And George will, of course, have Sherry Dupree at ringside with him. So we go to match. And I don't have a title for this, so I'm not gonna. It's just gonna be set up as a non-title match, but we'll mark it as, we'll keep track of the title lineage in a spreadsheet or something. Alrighty then. So View just opted for me to run the match, so he will not be choosing for Gorgeous George. So I'll be choosing for both of them, and let's see how this goes. Mil Mascaras and Gorgeous George lock up. It looks like Gorgeous George has the upper hand. And George rolls a choice situation here. He could do an into the turnbuckle, quick foot sweep, or a headlock takedown. I think he's going to go for the headlock takedown here. Mascaras is dazed. George attempts a slap, and George antics on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras is hurting. And then a snapmare on Mascaras. But Mascaras reverses the move and takes control of the match, and attempts a rolling head scissors on Gorgeous George, who is hurt. Mascaras with another rolling head scissors. And now Mascaras with a choice situation. He could attempt a standing dropkick, a turnbuckle throw, or a vertical suplex. He is going to whip George into the buckle. George bounces forward off the turnbuckle and into an incredible neck-breaking clothesline from Mil Mascaras. Mascaras attempts the flying body press on Gorgeous George. This could be a quick one. Should Gorgeous George Sherry Dupree attempt to distract the referee and stop the pin? Yeah, we'll have her. So it looks like that was successful. Sherry Dupree was able to stop the pin from happening. Mascaras attempts a standing dropkick on Gorgeous George. George moves out of the way and takes control. Mascaras counters George's attempt at a dropkick. So both guys try to throw dropkicks at one another. Neither are successful. I think Mascaras is going to go for another dropkick just because it makes sense. And Gorgeous George counters that one. So dueling dropkicks do not work. Gorgeous George attempts a gorgeous grip on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras is down. He is going to roll out of the ring. The champion takes a few to recollect himself. It looks like Mascaras back out of the ring there. He's able to get back in before he's counted out. And Gorgeous George with the rolling hip locks on Mil Mascaras. 1 count. Gorgeous George is pinning Mil Mascaras. George attempts a figure 4 leg lock on Mascaras, and Mascaras is down. Gorgeous George could go to the top, but I don't think that's a good idea. George is going to stay firmly planted on the canvas here. And he attempts a snapmare on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras is dazed, and George has a choice situation here. I think that he is going to go for the quick foot sweep. And Mil Mascaras is able to counter that. And now Mascaras attempts a slingshot plancha on Gorgeous George. Things aren't looking good for Gorgeous George should Cherie Dupree attempt to interfere and sway the tide of the match. Sure. Cherie Dupree distracts Mil Mascaras. Mascaras chases Dupree around the ringside. George recovers and leaves the ring to attack Mascaras. George and Mascaras start brawling wildly at ringside. Mascaras gets the upper hand and rolls Gorgeous George back into the ring. George is down. Mascaras goes up to the top rope, but George recovers and throws Mascaras off the turnbuckle and into the ring. Mascaras goes down hard. George going to throw Mascaras out of the ring. He lands on top of Gorgeous George on the floor. Mascaras is able to get back into the ring, and then Gorgeous George finally able to make it back in before being counted out. Now we got a standing dropkick from Mil Mascaras, and George once again moves out of the way. And now George attempts a slap and George antics on Mil Mascaras, but Mascaras isn't having any of that. Mascaras with a monkey flip, and George lands on his feet. And here we go, we've got a choice situation. Into the turnbuckle, foot sweep, or headlock. He's going to do the headlock takedown here. Taking Mascaras down. Mascaras is hurt. Now we've got another choice situation. We could do a single leg, a bear hug, or a hammer lock. The bear hug looks like the best option, so he is going to attempt that, but Gorgeous George countered by Mil Mascaras there. Now Mascaras could try a kick to the face, a Cobra Clutch suplex, or the Indian Deathlock. I think that, let's see, he's got a -2 for agility, so that's going to work on 7 or lower. A +1, so that's going to work on 10 or lower. So I think Mascaras is going to attempt that Cobra Clutch suplex. And George is hurting. Now we've got Mascaras attempting a rolling head scissors, but George reverses the move. And George with a headlock takedown on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras is dazed. And he's going to attempt that turn. He's going to push him into the turnbuckle. Coleman, our referee, orders a clean break, and as Mil Mascaras is stepping out of the corner, George shoots in on him with an outside single leg takedown. George and Mascaras are grappling near the ropes. George backs Mascaras into the ropes. Abe Coleman steps in to break it up. Both George and Mascaras break clean to the applause of the crowd. Gorgeous George is quick to take control of the match. Now they're grappling near the ropes again. Same outcome. Coleman steps in, asks them for a clean break, and they do get it. Gorgeous George being uncharacteristically sportsmanlike here. Now he's attempting an airplane spin on Mil Mascaras, which hurts him. George attempts a snapmare on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras reverses the snapmare and takes control of the match and throws George around with a deep arm drag. George is hurt. We got another arm drag. George reversing that one, though. Not going over, just rolls through and takes control of the match. He's going to attempt a quick foot sweep on Mil Mascaras, and Mascaras is dazed after that foot sweep. And now, Mil Mascaras counters Gorgeous George's attempt at a drop kick. And Mascaras attempts a deep arm drag on Gorgeous George. Gorgeous George is hurt. We're going to see a vertical suplex from Mil Mascaras. George able to reverse that suplex into one of his own. He takes control of the match. And Mascaras counters George's body slam attempt. And Mascaras with another deep arm drag. Gorgeous George is hurting. And Mascaras with another deep arm drag, but George once again rolls through, comes back, locks right back up, and takes control of the match. But then Mascaras counters Gorgeous George's attempt at a body slam. These guys just going back and forth and back and forth. Got a rolling head scissors on Gorgeous George by Mil Mascaras, and George is hurt. And another rolling head scissors. George is still hurting. And we're going to see the kick to the face here. But George counters it and then attempts a snapmare on Mil Mascaras, who reverses that snapmare, just rolls through like George has been doing, and attempts a deep arm drag. But that's going to be another reversal. And Mascaras counters the dropkick attempt. These guys just back and forth and back and forth. No one is truly in control of this match. Mascaras attempts an Indian deathlock. Hope maybe this will get George to tap. He is hurting. And now Mascaras, after that Indian deathlock, attempts the slingshot plancha on Gorgeous George, and George is hurt. George, he is hurting, and Mascaras has a choice between a kick to the face, a Cobra Clutch suplex, and another Indian deathlock. I think he's going to attempt that Cobra Clutch suplex. Val Venus is on his way to the ring to help Gorgeous George. Will ignore that. And we'll roll here. Attempt to throw Gorgeous George from the ring? Sure. Mascaras comes out of the ring to continue the attack on Gorgeous George, and a wild brawl erupts. Eventually, Mil Mascaras gets the upper hand and is able to throw Gorgeous George back into the ring. Mil Mascaras attempts a cross-body attack. And I'm going to go turn this off so that doesn't happen again. I don't know why I don't just leave that off. Mascaras is pinning Gorgeous George, just a 1 count. Standing dropkick on Gorgeous George. He's hurting. We're going to see a vertical suplex by Mil Mascaras, but nope, George reverses it. These guys cannot keep control of the match. George attempts a slap and George antics on Mil Mascaras. Reverses the move, takes control of the match. Nails Gorgeous George with a running back elbow. After throwing Gorgeous George into the ropes, he's going to attempt that standing drop kick. But Gorgeous George counters it. Now Gorgeous George attempts a face rake with Georgie pins on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras is hurt. Gorgeous George attempts a gorgeous grip on Mil Mascaras. Mascaras hurt again. Gorgeous George and Mil Mascaras grappling near the ropes. Mascaras is backed into the ropes, and Coleman calls for a clean break and gets it. Gorgeous George catches Mil Mascaras off guard with a quick fireman's carry. And now they're grappling near the ropes again, and they're struggling for position near the ropes. The struggle sends both wrestlers crashing to the floor. And they're both back in, though. Gorgeous George nails him with a drop kick. Or, no. Gorgeous George is countered on a dropkick attempt. I misread that. Mil Mascaras attempts an octopus hold on Gorgeous George. Gorgeous George is trying to fight the pain. Mil Mascaras tightens in and wrenches that octopus. George is struggling to get free, and George finally manages to get out of that octopus hold. And Mascaras flying body press on Gorgeous George. 1, 2, 3. Finally, Mil Mascaras able to get the win over Gorgeous George and retain his title. So there you have it, folks. Gorgeous George is put down by our champion Mil Mascaras, who will live to fight another day as the Legends Wrestling Alliance champion. So that is all for us for today. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with All-Star Wrestling Alliance action next week, and there may be another world title match next week. We'll just have to see how the dice play out. Alright, that's it for me.